City of Northglenn, Channel 8, keeping you informed of events in your community.
It's close enough. Everybody's ready. Joanna, you ready? Yes. Right. I'd like to call the regular city council meeting to order. Joanna, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Downing.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carol Dodge. Here. Councilmember Snetzinger. Here. Councilmember Mullica.
Here.
Councilmember Wayne Dodge.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Carrico will be absent. Councilmember Whitman. Here. Councilmember Winnicke.
Here.
Thank you. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions from council? No? Okay. First thing on the agenda is an interview. Verna? Nice to see you this evening. Thank you. I think you're applying for the Liquor Licensing Authority?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about why you chose the Liquor Licensing Authority?
Well, I thought it was a good way that I could help, and that it meets at the regular time for me, and it was just something I thought I would do.
We all know you, so that's why we don't have a lot of questions for you, I don't think. But anybody like to ask anything of Verna? We really appreciate you thinking about it. Now, you sure you want to be, I mean, look who's on the liquor licensing board. Are you sure you want to join the liquor licensing
This
board?
is why I do it.
Well, thank you so much for coming tonight and applying for the liquor licensing board. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, next we have presentations. The Dedicated Service Award, let's see, is who's? Avery? Okay. Okay, and then we have also, okay.
You look so happy.
Did you hear that? All right. We do appreciate everything you've done, you know, and I hope you enjoy being part of the commission. I would love to get to do this, and let me read it to you. Dedicated Service Award, presented to Avery Anderson, Northglenn Youth Commission, July 22nd, 2013 through July 22nd, 2015. Presented by myself and the City Council of Northglenn's 5th of August, 2015. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Can we get to shake his hand though, right?
Avery, I know I want to hug. Can I say a few things about Avery?
He's upstairs.
Yes, please do.
You're not off the hook yet.
You can stand right there, okay?
Because he's really awesome. He's been such an exemplary member of the youth commission, and I love him. And if you ever needed somebody to be there and be committed, he's there for anything and everything. He volunteers for everything, punctual, has great ideas, and really good. As long as I am the board, I just love having him on our commission.
And who would know better other than Carol, since she's the liaison for the Youth Commission and is involved with them heavily all the time. So, thanks, Carol. Next, Debbie for Economic Development.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'll make this brief. There's not a lot of updates, but just a couple things I wanted to bring to your attention. SCL groundbreaking, of course, many of you were there. It was a great event. Some of you will find that there's some small shovels for you for people that participated. So if you have something in your box when you go back, you'll know what that is. Just wanted to give you an update that sanitary line improvements are going to be made from SEL Hospital across the street and tie into the Webster Lake Promenade. It's planned right now for September 8th through September 15th, so there's going to be some construction and disruption to that road for a while. They've got it over a week. They're going to try to make it as painless as possible on the tenants, the visitors, and everybody going up and down Community Center Drive. We do have a meeting with all of the tenants and property owners on the 27th. We are putting it on the website in the Northglenn Connection, and again, we're going to try to make this as easy as possible on there. They're just going to be doing segments at a time. Now, Webster Lake Promenade will not be closed. There's two other intersections that they can get in. It'll just be across the street, tying an SEL across the street into the Webster Lake Promenade sanitary lines.
Debbie, will that be an 8 to 5 project?
No, they do have it on the weekend, and we're working with them right now, talking with them on nighttime as well. So I know that those discussions are taking place.
Okay.
So again, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. New businesses, there's a couple new charts in there for your information. A historical chart, I thought you might find that of interest. Relatively steady from 2010, you can see the new businesses. And I think that's an important trend. One, I'd like to see those numbers a lot higher, of course, new businesses higher. However, it also shows that we're retaining our businesses and backfilling those spaces as well. However, as I've mentioned many times, with our limited space, mostly in industrial space, that continues to be a challenge for us on retaining our businesses. Just wanted to let you know, sometimes you see construction going on in different centers, and even though we haven't gotten a business license or announced them, I'll bring them to your attention. Fiesta Palace is leasing 10,200 square feet over in the Malley Center. So that's that whole inside that had been the restaurant all the way up. Bling It On is probably the newest tenant over there. In fact, we had the ribbon cutting there today. So they're taking that whole end, the whole end capped over. So if you remember where the DMV was at that corner all the way over. They're in Westminster right now on 91st and Harlan, and they'll be doing weddings and birthday parties, and they're quite established. So they're a good company. I think that'll be a great addition for us. We had hoped that they were going to be opening in September, but after looking at some of the construction, I think it'll probably be October.
Will this give them more square footage than
What they have over
currently?
there. Yes, it will. And if you go to their website, it's very impressive, the weddings and parties and things that they do. They do a lot of catering there, too. So they do both the catering as well as event planning.
Does that fill that building now?
It's almost filled. There's only 2 spots left, very small tenant
That's
spaces.
small, yeah.
7 new storefronts last month, 2 home base. Kiewit is in there, but that's a seasonal business, so we don't count them. Closed businesses, there's a report in there. As you know, I report that on a quarterly basis. Closed businesses, we had 13 closed businesses so far this year through the end of July. 6 of those have been backfilled with new companies. Net new businesses, again, 16 compared to the 30 that we've announced. Net new square footage is 13,989. with a negative 53 employees, which is disheartening. We always want to see that being increased, but we did have a couple big hits on that. We had our Lunch and Learn. It continues. Marketing seems to be the area that our businesses really like to attend. That was our biggest one that we've had so far. There was probably 25 to 30 people there. So again, that seems to be doing real well. We had planned on only doing one a quarter. We've been doing one almost every month because of the high demand on it. Something else that I put in your packets, it's different than I've used, put in there before, which is prospect inquiries. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of the type of inquiries that we're getting. So as you can see from 2013, 2014, and 2015, this year through July, we've already had 85. Last year we had 100. So we'll definitely, if we keep at this pace, we'll outpace last year, and definitely of 2013. What kind of industry sectors are looking here in Northglenn? You'll see that the services sector are the type of businesses that are looking here, as well as developers real estate. Mainly the developers are looking at the Huron Center and 112th and Washington land when you go back and look at those inquiries. So those are the two that are definitely looking to do new development here in Northglenn. The prospect sources, these are different sources of where our prospects come from. I'm pleased to say that the companies are coming to us. That isn't usually always the case, and a lot of times, almost 50% are companies that know to actually use their economic development department to look for space to get assistance, with the other 24% being the brokers. And then what types of companies are inquiring to do business here? 88% of those are new businesses that could come to Northglenn. Again, that's great, but again, we have limited space, so that continues to be a problem. Any questions for me on the report?
How many questions? I just wanted to make a comment for some of the residents that might hear the number 13. So a couple of those storefront businesses that closed, they closed, but they unfortunately were out of space here in the city. So,
That's correct.
I mean, the number 13 kind of sounds large.
It does, it does.
Well, I'll add to that. One of them on your list as being closed did not close. It just changed its name.
And which one was that?
The
Head shop. Right, I believe that that's actually a new owner, so if it's a
but
new
it
owner,
stayed
new name.
open. It's not, yeah, but it's open. It's open.
Right, no, it's open. When I said that we had replaced 6 other companies with the 13, that's one of the companies that was replaced. So the way we count the new businesses, if they change their name and they have a new owner. If they just get a new owner, we don't count them as a new business. But in this case, it was a new owner and a new name. So it was one of the backfills, correct?
Right,
Not
sure.
sure.
Right.
That's correct.
Makes sense.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thanks, Deb. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is public invited to be heard, 5 minutes per speaker. Statements shall be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to council for up to 5 minutes? No? All right. We'll move on the agenda, and Jason will have the financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the quarterly financial update through June of 2015. I will start off with an update on sales and use tax. You'll see that year-to-date sales and use tax is at $8.1 million, which is almost a $900,000 increase over the prior year, which is a 12.4% increase. Looking back 2 years, it's actually a $1.6 million, almost $1.7 million increase in sales and use tax. So we've seen some positive things over from 2013 that have kind of kept rolling. So I wanted to point that out over the last 2 periods of the rolling 12 months. Within that number, sales tax specifically is up 10%. Use tax is up 17%. Auto use tax is up 20%, so that's still going strong over the last couple of years. Haven't seen any slowdown month over month. It's continuing to do well. And then food tax, with the additional Walmart market, that's up 50% over the prior year. So a lot of positive things on the sales and use tax front, and hopefully that we can keep that going into the future. So was there any questions on the sales and use tax specifically? In the other packet that you guys receive on page 10, you'll see that we continue all of the just different geo codes continue to be up. I think one is down slightly, but nothing of concern. So all of the specific areas in town are also doing well, not just the city as a whole, but specific areas all have positive things going on.
And the other revenue is it a huge increase because of the $1.5 million land sale on the general fund?
Yes.
Is that why it's up by 1,049%?
Right. So moving along to the general fund budgetary comparison, obviously overall revenues at $11.7 million. Collection rate is at 50%. That's consistent with what we would expect. And then the last line before the subtotal there, other revenue of $1.6 million. That does include the $1.5 million land sale, which of course makes the percentage look quite a bit larger than normal. I think we broke that up. If you look at the line above, total revenues in the general fund are up 2.3 on the operating side. If you include the 1.5, it's up 17%. So you see a big increase in that one-time revenue. Total expenditures in the general fund are at just under 10.2 million, with a net change of fund balance of 1.3 million if the year were to end through June, with an ending fund balance of just over 17 million in the general fund. As far as collection and spending rate, those percentages compare favorably to the prior years as far as revenue collections being maybe slightly ahead, and then expenditures actually being just slightly less than they have been in the past years. So overall, very consistent, and other than the big revenue influx, which is a positive, kind of going along how we planned for the year. The non-major governmental funds, I'll discuss the Conservation Trust and Capital Projects Fund. Revenue in Conservation Trust Fund is $190,874 with expenditures of $165,994. We'll see those expenditures pick up specifically with the pool rehab project that's kicked off this month. In the Capital Projects Fund, revenue of $2.2 million and expenditures of 1.1 for a net change in fund balance of 1.1. Again, some of the large capital projects, you'll see that the spending rate is about 11% in that fund. Last year we were at 4%. Some of the bigger projects are yet to kick off, and we'll see that increase spike here in the fall. On the Water and Wastewater Fund, total revenues $5 million and expenditures of 6.3, with other sources and uses of 55,000. A net change in fund balance of $1.3 million, a negative $1.3 million at the moment. The biggest line you'll see is the capital outlay line item, and that includes capital purchases for vehicles and equipment, as well as projects, as well as water rights. So that's where the $2.5 million line item comes up. We've spent about $1 million of that is water rights. About $800,000 is on capital projects, and the remainder is on specific equipment that has been purchased. Again, collection rates and expenditure rates falling in line with historical trends. I guess on the water and wastewater side, that's where the food tax comes into play. So we'll see an increase in the taxes line item as we go through the year due to the food tax specifically being dedicated to the water and wastewater fund. So is there any question on our major enterprise funds through the middle of the year?
Questions?
All right. So our non-major funds of enterprise concern, revenues in the stormwater fund, $184,000, and expenditures of $95,000, consistent with what we would expect to see. Sanitation fund revenues of $654,000 and expenditures of $597,000 for a net change in fund balance of $60,000. And both of those funds stay consistent year over year with their revenues, and then expenditures typically fall in line exactly with what is budgeted because we're able to plan some of the capital projects or replacement needs in those funds. Total cash reserves and investments at the end of June was just under $51 million. It was, I think, 50,000,094 or something like that. So with that, I would again urge you or anyone to go check out our transparency website and look at all of these numbers in more detail on the annual or the current year report page. You can see detailed breakdown of all of what we talked about today, if you would like.
Jason, since you brought the website up, I was just wondering, do we know how many hits we've had on there, or any questions from the constituents about this?
So we haven't received any questions on the feedback, because you can just kind of type those in and get those sent in. We're well over 350 hits on the website since we went live in May. So it's definitely being used.
That's wonderful.
So
That's good.
Are those unique hits or just total hits?
Those are total hits. Of those, the percentage has dropped. I think last time I said it was about 75% were new. That percentage has probably dropped. I don't remember off the top of my head, but a lot of them are unique. And so hopefully there's some people that are looking at it monthly to find information. And so hopefully we will have repeats interested.
Because they'll want to watch it from month to month too, so.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions for Jason? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, next we have the consent agenda. Move to approve.
Second?
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. First, next on the agenda is resolutions. Joanna?
The first one is CR 105, a resolution approving intergovernmental agreements with the counties of Adams and Weld for the purpose of participating in the November 3rd, 2015 coordinated election.
Move to approve?
Second.
David?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As you know, we have a half-cent sales tax extension come up as a ballot question. I just want to say for our audience and our cable viewers that the reason we have Weld County in there is because that is part of our corporate boundaries, and unfortunately it's not connected contiguously with our boundaries here, but it is part of our corporation boundary limits.
Thank you for pointing that out. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 105 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next is CR 106.
A resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Thornton and the City of Northglenn regarding participation in the City of Northglenn's 112th Avenue Station Area Master Plan.
Move to approve.
Second?
David?
Denver Regional Council of Governments approved or awarded funds in 2013 for a stationary master plan. This is coming through the Transportation Improvement Program. The total project is $150,000, of which $120,000 gets federal funding. That leaves $30,000 for local match. The Northglenn will be responsible for $20,000 and Thornton $10,000 of that $30,000 local match, and we're going to run the project.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 106 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next is CR 107.
A resolution approving the second intergovernmental agreement regarding municipal non-domestic violence inmate allocations and per diem fee assessment process for the Adams County Detention Facility between the cities of Arvada, Aurora, Brighton, Commerce City, Federal Heights, Northglenn, Thornton, and Westminster, as well as the town of Bennett, Colorado.
Move to approve.
Second?
David?
I'll ask Corey to address this one.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, members of council, at your previous meeting, you approved the settlement agreement between those parties that were parties to the litigation with the sheriff. This is sort of the second component to that, and this is the intergovernmental agreement between those parties and the parties that were not a party to the litigation, which would include Arvada and Westminster. And there were a number of questions at the last meeting about how the allocation is done and who is subject to the per diem in the event of an overage. And if you look at the IGA, it actually has various examples to show when you get over the number, how entities are charged, and it also gives an entity an opportunity to release an inmate if they don't want to pay.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 107 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next is CR 108.
A resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Adams County Board of County Commissioners and the City of Northglenn for the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Move to approve.
David?
Mayor and council members, this is obviously an IGA that a similar IGA that we approved a few weeks ago, July 13th. It was subsequently approved by Adams County and forwarded to HUD July 23rd. And then some things went awry, and you have a new IGA in front of you, and we're hopeful to get that approved to Adams County and be able to obtain or utilize CDBG grant funding in the future. Any specific questions, I'm sure Brooke will be happy to answer them.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
We'll close that vote, and CR 108 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to communications. Jean, we'll start with you.
None.
Okay. Marcy?
So I just wanted to thank all of the residents that did National Night Out parties on Tuesday. Made it out to a handful of those, and always great to see the residents. And I also wanted to give a special thanks to Ruth Duncan for hosting 15 years of parties. And then Friday night was Movie in the Park, Frozen. I'd say we had about 300 people there, so the rain held out for us, and that was wonderful. So hope to see everybody this Friday. And anybody remember the name of the
Big
movie?
Hero 6.
Yeah, Big Hero 6.
What was that again?
Big Hero 6, I think so.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Thank you.
That's it? Okay, Carol.
Just kind of a wrap up on the concerts. The most recent concert in the park last week was the Ricardo Pena Band, and they were a Latin rhythm band, and they were really awesome. I was not that excited, but by the end of the night, I was excited. They were really good. Just a really tight band, so it was very fun. We had great attendance that night. This is not official, but I would say it was the most well-attended of the concerts so far. So that was fun. The final concert is this Wednesday. Thumping is the band. It is a mixture of funk, R&B, and soul. And it'll be 6:30 at the park, and if it rains, it won't rain, but if it does, it'll be at 7 in the theater. And the mayor tomorrow is doing Mayor on the Move, Youth Edition. Hopefully it doesn't rain again, because
I saw the weather report.
It's good?
It is not good.
It's not good tomorrow? Oh, no.
I know. I just went, oh, well.
Well, if it doesn't rain, it will be in Danhay Park at 6 p.m., and it will be the Youth Edition where she is in tandem with the youth commissioners who are trying to get some more members. So come on out and talk to the mayor and youth commissioners and whoever else shows up.
All right. Just to piggyback on that, I did tell some of the youth commissioners that it was their fault. I've never been rained out for an entire summer, so we'll see. National Night Out, unfortunately, I was out of town, and it was the first time in years that I wasn't able to attend. So that was kind of a bummer for me, but I know it turned out to be pretty good. Did attend the ribbon cutting today for Bling It On, and they're very excited, and so I'm hoping they'll do well. They had all the interior, they had bling inside. The upholstery, they had the little rhinestones, and it was just really cute, so that was good. And then I did attend the Elks Car Show and Motorcycle Show Sunday, and that was a lot of fun. They had a good turnout, so it was good, and it did not have rain, so, all right.
That's it? Nothing? No. So I did attend National Night Out, and then just a kudos to David and his crew there, Scott and Ray. I was driving down through the war zone of the 112th construction site yesterday, and cars were going by, and water wasn't shooting the air, but it was like bubbling all over the place and running down through the buildings, and so I called up David, and I think Scott got there in less than 6 minutes and was running around trying to shut the water off. So that was pretty good on a Sunday afternoon, and come running down, so tell them guys thanks.
He didn't come to work today, though.
Oh! Well, he didn't get out there till midnight.
Yeah, he was there when I drove by.
But that's it.
Kyle?
I just want to congratulate my wife. We welcomed a new baby boy on last Saturday, and his name's Logan, so she did a great job, and he's healthy, and it's been a lot of sleepless nights so far, but it's fun. I also got to go to National Night Out. I hit one house, Jim's, before I had to get back to the baby, Jim Falks, and it was a lot of fun, and he did a great job, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. And then we went to the movie on Friday, and it was a blast. I thought it was a great turnout. It was fun. My little girl had a blast. It was karaoke, I felt like, with the songs a little bit. She was singing and everything. But so, no, I'm excited. And this Friday we're going to be there, too. And so I think we're doing some good things in the community, and I'm excited about it. So.
Okay, Kim? I also attended National Night Out. I wanted to thank all of our residents for hosting some really great parties. And also kudos to our police department for helping to organize those parties and making sure that we knew what was going on. There were some interesting things out there that were happening. And I'll just leave it at that. School starts in Adams 12 next week, so be on the lookout. School zones, hopefully we'll have our officers in force enforcing those school zones, chief. That might be a hint that we might want to do that if possible. Almost nothing torques me off as much as people speeding through school zones, and that'll just fry me, and I'll get out there with a sign and start smashing people on the head if I have to for that, because that's just irresponsible. So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox now for that one. And then, David, for you, can we get something on Monday night for our study session, just a brief, how we're marketing our events and kind of what's going on this summer? I would like to see maybe a little bit more coordination from what I've heard, but again, I don't really know exactly how it's working, so if we could just get an update on that, because I do think it's important. We're doing a lot of really good things in the community, and I'd like to make sure that we get the word out there. You know, for National Night Out, we did distribute some of the movie flyers, made sure to have those available for us, and there was a lot of emphasis placed on Pirate Fest for National Night Out, even though we're doing a lot of other programs too. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Joanna?
I do want to remind everybody that there is only 2 weeks left to file nomination petitions for anybody out there who would like to see their name on the November ballot as a city council candidate. They're due August 24th, so if anybody has any questions about candidate requirements or the actual election, I would encourage them to please stop by the city clerk's office. That's all.
Thank you. David?
Just one item tonight on the school zones, and taking off of one of Kim's questions. On Huron Street at Vantage Point, the new solar speed signs or flashing speed signs are up. We still have the southbound side that's farther up closer to Farmers Highland to remove. But we'll be going through a test run this week, and the school zone is more appropriately shorter as it should be.
Thank you. Corey?
Nothing this evening.
Nothing. All right. Next is the public invited to be heard, up to 3 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to council for up to 3 minutes? No one wishes to speak to us, so we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.